then I tell him that I'm 19 years old. Now that was my go-to until I actually turned 17, because that's at the age of 17, that's when I stopped lying about my age. I'm telling this nigga all of this shit. Yeah, I'm at work, how your day going? You know what I'm saying? Girl, whole time I'm in class about to do a goddamn exam. Girl, please. I'm just like, okay, I'm about to spend a weekend over here. It's my very first time spending the night with a man. Girl, you need your ass beat. I needed my ass beat, okay? Before we go to his people gathering or whatever we did to do, and for some reason I just knew I was pregnant. Because I used to track my cycle around that time. And for some reason, at that age, I wasn't opposed to being pregnant. Like, whenever I said I wasn't opposed to it, I mean, like, I wanted to. Like, I felt like, yeah, I'm going to hear my mama bitch and complain about it and be upset, but I feel like she gonna get over it because she got other shit that she worried about, hence her girlfriend. So she really not gonna give a fuck. You know, that was my thinking. And I also would be like, okay, if I have a child, I'm gonna be loved, like I'm gonna feel loved and all that. That's what my 15-year-old ass was thinking. But me thinking like, what you mean you gonna feel loved because you have a child? Like, girl, them babies don't know nothing about loving you. When you have a child, them babies only look at you because you gotta wipe their ass, you gotta feed them. Like, yeah, they know that they know that you're the parent, but having a child ain't got shit to do with having somebody to love you. Doesn't make it make sense, sis. Like, I'm talking to myself now. Like, make it make sense. But I'm just telling you, that's what I thought. I'm just like, oh, if I have a child, like, you know, I have something to look forward to. And I wouldn't necessarily say I was depressed at that age, because I didn't know anything about depression. Like, I really felt like everything that I felt and dealt with was normal. So that's another fucked up part about it. I say that to say I was tracking my cycle. So whenever I tracked that weekend that we had sex, I'm just like, oh fuck, this is the week that I'm ovulating. So a bitch might be pregnant, but I don't know yet. I don't know. Like, I ain't never been pregnant before, but like, I think I might get pregnant or something like that. So, you know, moving on by my day, we go to his family house and I meet his grandma. His grandma is who raised him. His parents did not raise him. Both of his parents are either was or still is on drugs. He had older parents too, but like his parents wasn't in his life, didn't raise him. He also had like brothers that were in and out of foster care because his parents didn't raise their kids either. So yeah, I just say that to say he was raised by his grandma. So we go in the house and I'm like nervous as fuck, and I'm just like, fuck, I gotta act like a 19-year-old. Like, what, like I'm keeping up this lie with everybody. Like this one lie, or ain't one lie, it's a couple lies, but all of these pile of lies, like I have to literally keep up with it and I have to play the role. So I'm going around his people and, you know, oh, happy Easter, nice to meet you. Oh, how old are you? I hope you and Shawty do well together. Y'all look so cute together. Like, I wasn't even supposed to be there for real. Like, I wasn't even supposed to be there at all. About a month later, I noticed my period didn't come. Very first time that my period has never came whenever it was supposed to. So I didn't freak out right away. Again, I already kind of knew what I did a month prior, but it didn't really click to me, like for real, until like maybe a week later my period still ain't come. And I noticed that I lost my appetite too. I'm just like, I don't really have an appetite. I don't know what that's about. But I had a homegirl at school, and I follow her on Facebook to this day. She married with kids now, all of that. But I was telling her about the situation, and she happened to have a pregnancy test, bitch. How she had a pregnancy test and why she had a pregnancy test is her business and her business only. But she had a pregnancy test, and she's like, okay, if you think you're pregnant, I could just bring the test to you to school tomorrow morning, and you know, you can take it. So I'm like, okay, bet. So the next day she brought the pregnancy test. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna just I googled stuff like, when should you take a pregnancy test, how to take a pregnancy test. Like, I'm googling all of that because I don't know shit besides that I get a period and I bleed, or I'm supposed to bleed every month, and this month I ain't bleeding. So I Google it and they were saying that, okay, the best time to take a pregnancy test is in the morning. So I'm like, okay, bet, I'm gonna take it in the morning before I go to school. Next morning come, I wake up peeing sick. I'm sitting on the toilet. This is before school, before I get on the bus. I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm just waiting for the thing. It was a digital pregnancy test too. It turned out positive. It said pregnant, and I did the whole, oh my God, to myself type of thing, but I really wasn't surprised. I think what was more surprising is the fact that it was actually happening. Instead of me wondering like, oh, what would happen if it happened? Like it was actually fucking happening. So I'm just like, damn, like I know I said this, I know I felt this way, but it's actually happening. Okay, like fuck, now I really gotta, like, this is it. I get to school, aka work, and I text Shotty and I tell him I'm pregnant. So I'm in PE at this point. While the motherfucker think I'm on lunch break, bitch, I'm in PE at school in 10th grade. Telling this man, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. I don't really remember his reaction too much, but he wasn't surprised. He was just like, oh, how do you know? That's what I believe he asked me. He was like, oh, how you know for sure that you're pregnant? I'm just like, nigga, because I just took a fucking pregnancy test. Like, yeah, I'm 15. I mean, you don't know I'm 15, but yeah, I'm 15, but I ain't stupid. Like, the shit say pregnant. Like, it ain't gonna say I'm pregnant if I'm not fucking pregnant. Like, I peed on the stick, like it says I'm pregnant. So I'm just like, it say I'm pregnant, like I'm pregnant, that's what it is. So the same morning I took the pregnancy test, I put the damn pregnancy test in a Ziploc bag and I wrapped it up, put it in my purse, that way I could show my homegirl who gave me the test whenever we had PE that morning. And so I told her, and she's like, oh my God, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know, girl, but I had no plans on telling my mama. Like, I really didn't. I didn't know how that was gonna go about, but I just know that I didn't have no plans on telling my mama. So that weekend I found out I was pregnant. That was also the weekend that I went to his house. So the whole same shebang. Oh, my mama going to so-and-so house for the weekend. Okay, see you later, alligator, peace. Like, she ain't give a fuck. So he picked me up, same old shit, you know what I'm saying, picked me up from a friend. Now at this point he actually had a car. I believe tax time had just passed. I didn't really know too much about taxes, but I know based on what he told me, he was able to buy his car with his tax money. Now, well, what job? I don't know, bitch. I can't tell you. Maybe he worked a couple of months prior to me meeting him, because I did meet him at the end of 2010. So maybe he had a job prior to that year, bitch. I don't know. But he told me some tax money. So he got a little car for a couple $100, literally. I think the car was probably like $400. It was like an old ass car. Old ass car, no shade, but it was an old ass car. At this point, it was cool. Like, he was driving, it didn't have AC. I'll tell you that. It didn't have AC, so, but it was still like in the middle. Well, it was hot, but it wasn't super hot. Like, we are in May. At this point, May going into June, so it's still spring, but we getting ready to go into the summertime. You know, it ain't too bad. So on our way to his house, I was like, can you drop me off to Walgreens so I can give me some prenatal vitamins? I googled it. Me, my 15-year-old self, googled it, and it was like, oh, if you're pregnant, you need to start taking prenatal vitamins right away. So I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta get some. So kids, please go to a guardian. If you find you're pregnant, please find your legal guardian. Let them know. Don't be trying to give yourself prenatal vitamins thinking that, oh, okay, because I'm getting prenatal vitamins, that means like I'm good, like I don't need no care, prenatal care at all. Like, no, don't do that shit. Your ass later and got pregnant, so now you got to tell the people who over you, the grown folks, now you got to get them involved because you made a decision, and so now you have to deal with it. And so because I didn't want to deal with telling mama and all of that shenanigans, like, I was like, okay, let me get some prenatals. And I know that, me thinking at 15, I know that, you know, at least I'm doing a little bit to help the pregnancy. Like, I don't know, that's what I was thinking. He was also selling drugs still at this time. Like, that ain't never changed, you know. I'm just going back and forth to his house. We did have a few arguments, and 2 arguments specifically. I remember whenever I first found out I was pregnant, I sent the pregnancy test to a couple of my friends. Now, why? I don't know. I don't fucking know. But there were a few of my friends that I had met online. Just, it was like casual friends, nothing more between us. But a few of my friends that I met online, they happened to be 2 guy friends. And they thought I was 19 too, bitch. So I sent them the pregnancy test and I was like, oh, I'm pregnant, like just wanted to let you know type of thing. Which, looking back at it, like, girl, why would you send another man a pregnancy test? Like, especially a man who you ain't, like, girl, for what? For what? So one day I was at Shawty's house and he looked at my phone and he seen the text, and so that we kind of got into not really an argument, but we did kind of go back and forth, because he like, why you sending other niggas your pregnancy test pictures? Like, are these the baby daddies, like, type shit? So that is when he started to second guess me. Like, he never just flat out told me like, oh, I don't think the baby mine, like, he never said that, but it did make him second think. And I can understand, I can definitely understand it. And looking back, like, I would never do that again. But because I was 15, I couldn't tell my mama, I couldn't tell nobody. That's exactly why you need to tell people who's important, because now I'm looking for other people to talk to about it, because I don't have nobody else in my circle to really talk to about it. So now I'm sharing this information with other people, and it looks bad. It just looked bad. So that was one argument we had. Another argument we had was, this is back in the day, he had a flip phone, child. And I seen that somebody named Princess was texting him at night, and so I was asking him, like, who the fuck is Princess? And he tried to make it seem like that was one of his clients, because, you know, he sold weed. But I'm never the type to press the issue. Like, you said what it was, so I'm gonna take your word unless or until I find out otherwise. So I just kind of went with it. But that's when I started second guessing his loyalty. So while he over here second guessing me, I'm second guessing him. But because, like, I really want to be with him, especially now, like, I got a baby by him, I'm just gonna go with the flow. If he lying, he lying. If he ain't, cool. But it was his word against mine. So girl got to the point where he took me home. So one of these particular weekends I went over there, he took me home in the new whip. I mean, it was an old whip, but it was new to him. And so we get in a car, and the car started overheating, bitch. You see smoke and shit. So, and it was hot. Now, remember in the beginning I was telling y'all it wasn't really that hot. Now, right now, it's super hot. It's hot as fuck, actually. So, I'm pregnant, you know what I'm saying? I'm just a couple weeks pregnant at this point. He taking me back to my friend's house so that my mama could pick me up. In the midst of him taking me back to my friend's house, the motherfucking car start overheating, bitch. So we in the middle of the intersection. We in the middle of a busy ass Houston road. Now, if you live in Houston, you know some of them roads, we wasn't even on a highway. It was just a big ass road. Some of them roads are just big for no fucking reason. So it's traffic time too. So we in the middle of traffic, and I think that's when the car, like, fucked up the most, whenever we were just sitting there and wasn't going. So we in the middle of traffic, fucking car would cut off because it didn't got too hot. He would get to the point where he would carry like jugs of water in the car with him. Because anytime the car would overheat, he would pour water in there. And I don't even think that's really what she's supposed to do, but I just think that's like a temporary fix. I'm gonna have to ask my husband. My husband, he the mechanic, so I don't fucking know. But it's something where you put water in the car and it kind of cools it off, and then you can drive it a little bit more. But with his shit, it's like, yeah, he could do it and then he could drive for a little bit, but he probably about 20 minutes later, you're gonna have to do the same thing over and over. So whenever he would bring me back and forth, like, that started to be annoying, because, like, nigga, I'm hot, I'm pregnant, and I gotta sit in a fucking hot ass car with you. But because I was 15 and have shit, what was I supposed to do besides just sit my dumb ass there in the fucking heat, sweat dripping, while he putting water in his goddamn car? Like, that's the nigga that I chose. I chose that nigga. Like, a bitch started choosing wrong niggas since way back. Like, that's crazy. Everybody ain't gotta have no damn 2025 car or nothing like that. But if you gonna be down for the cause, if you gonna be down and you gonna ride for that nigga, like, at least be living in your truth. And I was not living in my truth, and I'm dealing with this. So I feel like that's what made it worse, because it's like, I'm not even supposed to be in this car with you. Like, I'm supposed to be at my friend's house, allegedly, and I'm in this fucking hottest car because of me, my own doing, not nobody else doing, don't get me wrong, because of me. Absolutely because of me. But that's the reason why it's important to make right decisions, good decisions. Y'all, if you're watching, make good decisions at all times, even whenever no one is watching, because I feel like whenever no one is watching, that's when making good decisions mean the most. Time went on and I started to get sicker. Like, with my first pregnancy, honestly, I wasn't super sick, but and I never even threw up. I was just really nauseous a lot, and I lost my appetite in the beginning. So I noticed my mama started like, why you not eating your food? Like, she didn't like go deep into it like she should have, but she was like, why you not eating your food? And I used to be like, oh, I'm just not hungry. I used to like sandwiches, like enjoy stuff like that, like sandwich meat, like cold food. Like that was the only thing that I was able to stomach at that point in my pregnancy. So weeks going by, child, I'm 12 weeks pregnant at this point, and so we're going into the summertime. So my sophomore year is over with. I'm getting ready to go into my junior year, but it's the summertime, and so I'm like, ain't no way I can live this entire summer without telling my mama. I didn't want to tell myself. So my coward ass, listen, kids, if you're gonna make decisions, be big enough, just how you was big enough to make that decision, be big enough to tell what your decision was to your parents, okay? But I did it a little bit differently. I told my aunt. So my aunt and I, we're 10 years apart, so to me, she was always like a sister to me, since we're kind of so close in age, kind of. But I was like, let me tell her. So I sent her a little texty text, and I told her I was pregnant, and she wasn't mad or upset. She was like, oh my god, did your mom know? Like, we're gonna have to figure out a way. So she ended up telling my grandma, and so my grandma found out. Her reaction pretty much was the same. Like, no one was ever angry at me. Nobody was ever angry. And I'm not saying that a parent should be angry at their child whenever things like that happen. But what I will say is I feel like I had it easy. Like, it was an easy thing. And honestly, I could have probably told my mom I was pregnant a lot sooner if I knew it was going to be that easy. So I'm not saying that, oh, they should have beat my, okay, let me take that back. I was getting ready to say, I'm not saying that they should have beat my ass, because they should have honestly beat my ass. But whenever it gets to the point where you're pregnant, it's like kind of all over and said and done with type of shit. So like, doing all of that, really, what is that going to do? You still got a baby that you got to worry about. But I just still honestly feel like I had it easy. Versus like some people, some teenagers, they tell their parents that they pregnant, they get kicked out of the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have that. But anyways, I told my aunt, and my aunt told my grandma, and so that maybe a couple weeks later, like, okay, look, we're gonna come out there, we're just gonna visit for the weekend. And then that weekend that we come out there, because my grandma and my aunt, they were 3 hours away in Lafayette, Louisiana. So they're like, okay, we're just gonna come out there, and we're gonna come out there for the weekend to just help you tell your mama that you're pregnant. So boom, they come out there. I'm still having like resentment. I've always resented my mom's girlfriend slash best friend, because that's what she used to call her for the first 10 years of her being in our lives. I hated her. I felt like, boom, okay, I'm pregnant now. Like, now my mama ain't gonna have no choice but to focus on me. That's a horrible way of thinking, but that's what I was thinking. My mama ain't gonna have no choice but to think about me. So, joke's on her. Like, she thought she was finna have all my mama to herself. Now my mama got me and a grandchild to think about. Like, that's what I was thinking of. So they come out, we go to the park. I didn't even do the talking. My aunt did the talking. She was just like, yeah, we just wanted to come out here and kind of talk to you and let you know that Dory's pregnant. That's what they used to call me, because my first name is Adoria, and my nickname back then used to be Dory. So she's like, Dory's pregnant. My mama ended up crying, asking me about who, all of that, like, who you pregnant by and this and that. And I lied to her and told her that he was 19, which I don't understand why. Like, 19, 23, either way, that's still grown. So I don't know, but I was still lying. I lied so much as a teenager, oh my god. But initially I told her that he was 19. We eventually went back to the house, and I went to my room. My mama was in the living room with my grandma, and my mom like had a point where she like just broke down crying. And I guess at this point my mom had maybe texted her friend, told her that she found out I was pregnant on the way there, because whenever she broke down crying and stuff, friend like eventually went back to the room. I was standing in the area where you can see like the hallway path, and my mom's room was at like the very end of the hallway, so like straight ahead. And so my mom's friend slash girlfriend, whatever, she went to the room, and before she closed the door, she like turned around and like stared at me and like gave me this like stank ass look. And I first of all, I didn't even like the bitch, so I already don't like you. I'm already having these emotions because I just told my mom I'm pregnant, all of this type of shit. And so that set me off. So I looked at her and I said, what you looking at? And that was like the first time as like a teenager, like, that was the first time I felt like I stood up for myself. That response was just from built up emotions of already not liking her and already feeling like she like took my mom from me type shit. So I feel like that's where that itself stemmed from. So once that, like, she didn't say anything, she like turned around and closed the door, but my mom, we were like, chill out, just telling me to go to my room and stuff like that. In between that time, I guess my mom and my grandma decided, okay, like maybe she should come down, she as in me, maybe she should come down with us to Louisiana for a couple months since it's the summer, to kind of get you some time to figure out, yo, whatever you gonna do with old girl, because clearly they're not gonna be able to continue to live in the same house like with this type of animosity going on, because it almost felt like she was mad at me that I made my mama upset. Like, I mean, and maybe she was, I guess, but it just felt like, bitch, this had, to me rather, I felt like it had nothing to do with her. I felt like you the family friend, you the best friend, right? So you ain't got shit to do with this, like, stay out of it. That's kind of how I felt. So whenever she like gave me that stank look, that triggered me, because like I don't like you already as it is. I felt like if she was gonna like talk to me as an adult or respond to the situation as an adult, it should have been like her talking to me like my mama did or like my grandma did whenever they first found out. I feel like it should have been on that type of level, but not no stank looks, because like, you know, me and you don't really fuck with each other. We don't like each other. Like, you just pretend to like me because I'm your bitch child. Like, that's how I felt. So whatever, that ticked me off, and so we came to the conclusion I was gonna go down to Louisiana with my grandma and stay with her for a couple months during the summertime. And so also, you know, I had not been to the doctor at all during my entire pregnancy, so it was said that I was gonna like figure out my insurance, like get insurance out there in Louisiana for the time being, that way I can go see a doctor and this and that. So that's what I did. I applied for Medicaid out there in Louisiana, like pregnant Medicaid, and they approved me, and I made an appointment. My grandma took me to my first doctor's appointment. At that point, I was about 16 weeks. I was finally able to see a doctor at 16 weeks. And so I also had to do my very first ultrasound, because I hadn't had an ultrasound. And so I was 16 weeks when I got my first ultrasound. And that was also the same day that I like found out the gender. So I didn't even, at this point, I didn't even know it was like possible to find out the gender at that point. But the lady, she looked in between the legs and she said it was a girl. So I'm like, oh wow, this is a lot to take in. Like, my first doctor's appointment, my first ultrasound, to find out the gender and stuff. And I wanted a girl too, so I was happy about it. So me and Shawty, we still got this relationship going on. I don't remember exactly what I told him. I'm pretty sure I told him that my son, because remember I told him I had a son, right? But the son was really my little cousin, and my little cousin, he really lived in Lafayette, Louisiana, which is where I went. So I ended up I think I ended up telling him, oh, I'm going to spend time with my son for summertime or something like that. And me thinking back on it, like, that was like a horrible ass lie, because that just made you look like a shitty ass parent. Said I was 19 for real. Said I did have a child in Louisiana for real. Why are you not with your child? Like, why your child don't live with you? And I don't remember what I told him. I'm pretty sure I made up another lie, well, obviously, as to why he didn't live with me, but I'm pretty sure that's what I told him. So again, he still think I'm 19. Mom, when I found out I'm pregnant, he didn't like question, oh, when you gonna go to the doctor or anything like that. He didn't ask me no questions. That's another, like, would have been like a red flag, like, on his end. Like, damn, nigga, you don't even think I should go to the doctor? But he didn't question me, he didn't do anything. So it was honestly easier for me to keep up with the lie for the time being. We were actually rocky at this point. Like, we were barely talking. I mean, I'm in one state, he in another state, so that's another reason why things were not really good. We were arguing kind of a lot over like little stuff. He was happy whenever I told him the gender and stuff, and I named her. I already had my name at mine, and that's crazy because I named my daughter Nevaeh, and the reason why is because a year or two before, Teen Mom, like the very first season, Teen Mom came out, and I remember this girl, and I think she died. I honestly think this girl is no longer living, but this girl who was on Teen Mom, she was pregnant, and she named her daughter Nevaeh, and so that's why That's how I came up with that name. But anyways, I ended up naming her and stuff like that. During this time, it was discovered that I used to get a check, or that I got a $600 Social Security check from my dad. My dad, if you don't know, my dad has been dead since I was 9, and so I found out this somehow. Oh no, I remember how I found it out, because I was applying for Medicaid, and during the process of me applying for Medicaid in Louisiana, you know, they ask you about your income and stuff like that, and obviously I told them I didn't have no income, because that was the truth. So whenever the lady was like pulling my case, she was like, oh, you say you didn't have income, but we were able to discover that you get a $600-something check for Social Security. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, I've never heard of that. So that's how I discovered that. So me and my mama wasn't really talking that much either. I mean, like, she'll check in here and there just to see how I am, but it was obviously still tension between us. She would still check on me though, don't get me wrong. But I could just tell the difference. I should have said this earlier in the story, but her girlfriend / friend that I keep talking about, I've talked about her in a story time previously, like maybe like a couple years ago. I talked about her and I named her Rough Rider. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say that name, because that's the name I stick with and I can remember. So Rough Rider, my mama was like, yeah, Rough Rider, she's moving back to Louisiana. So we also had a trip that was pre-planned, like prior to. So me and my mom was planning to go to the Bahamas. My mom, her biological dad lives in the Bahamas. He's from the Bahamas. We got family in the Bahamas, so we were planning on going there like towards the end of the summer. So at this point, it was almost time for me to go back to Houston. But in the middle of it, Mama was just letting me know, like, whenever you come back home, Rough Rider, she's not gonna be here no more. So, and I was happy. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And in my mind, I'm just like, oh, this is perfect. I got my mama back. Like, my mama is gonna actually be able to pay attention to me. My mama is gonna actually be able to like be a mother to me. Like, not to say that she wasn't a mother before, but like actually have a relationship, because I felt like I didn't have a relationship with her prior to. Like, we didn't talk. She didn't know anything that was going on in my life. Like, right now to this day, me and my daughter, we would talk about the tea, shit going on, her school life, all of that. We gonna talk about it, but me and my mama, we didn't talk about it. So that's why it's so important for me to maintain that type of relationship with my daughter, because you want to be in your kids' business. You want to know what's going on with their life. You want to know how they feeling and how they doing. You should want to know that. But my mom, she didn't care to take her time to know that until it was the last minute. And the last minute as in me being pregnant. So I mentioned to my mom, I'm like, Mom, I found out I get a check, like, what's going on with that? And she was like, oh yeah, you do get a check. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's perfect. Like, can I have that, so that I'm pregnant now, and obviously I need money to get stuff for the baby and stuff. So I asked her, could I have it? And she was like, yeah, I mean, I pretty much, in other words, she told me she already had like stuff planned to pay with that money. Like, I guess she was getting it, because my dad been dead since I was 9, and at this time I'm 16, so she had been getting that same check for over those amount of years. So I guess to the point where she began to be dependent on it. So she was just like, I mean, I could give you a little bit, and maybe eventually start giving you the full amount, but I could just give you some. So I was accepted of that, even though I wasn't too satisfied, but I'm just like, whatever. She's still taking care of me at the end of the day. She gave me like $100 out of it. I go back home on a Greyhound bus to Houston. It's time for the trip to the Bahamas. Now, my mama did not tell my grandfather that I was pregnant. She didn't tell nobody on that side of the family that I was pregnant. So the whole time, well, almost up to the whole time that we was there, like, she didn't say anything. Like, I'm visibly pregnant, in my opinion. If I could find a picture of how I looked, I'll post a picture. But I'm skinny as fuck, and I'm visibly got, like, my belly wasn't super big, don't get me wrong, but it was big enough, and I'm just like visibly pregnant, and my mama just like not telling nobody. So one of the family members in the Bahamas ended up asking my mama, and my mama ended up telling them, and so boom, the cat's out the bag. But I really feel like my mom was like kind of ashamed of it, and I can't blame her. What mom wants to be a grandma to their 16-year-old child? I get it. I mean, that's all I can say about that. I can't blame her. It did kind of make me a little sad, I guess, because it's just like, damn, like, I thought I had my mama back, but in reality I don't. Like, I could tell she wasn't happy. Her Rough Rider done left the house. You know, she didn't have her soulmate or whatever the fuck you want to call it now. But of course I didn't know that how deep of in a relationship they were in until late. I kind of felt bad. I kind of like, damn, I got pregnant, trying to think I was gonna maybe get my mom's attention, even though that wasn't a good excuse to get pregnant. Because there's also other reasons, you know, I told you I felt like I wanted to be loved and stuff like that. I felt like having a baby was gonna fill that void, but it didn't. Anyways, everybody found out in the Bahamas. No one treated me differently or anything like that. They were loving and warm, and I felt okay. I actually felt like a relief whenever everybody knew I was pregnant. Because it wasn't that I was hiding it, but I still kind of felt a little insecure about it, I guess you can say. So time to go back home. My junior year is getting ready to start, and we fly back to Texas from the Bahamas. Great trip. I really enjoyed it. Me and my husband actually have a cruise coming up to the Bahamas in the next couple of months. I'm back home, right? My mama hit me with the bombshell of, okay, now I want to meet this nigga. Like, now she wants to meet Shawty, because at this point she hadn't met him yet. I guess she was still like processing everything. Even though the fact that I lied to him and lied to her and told her that he was 19 when he really was 23, she still wasn't like some parents might want to press charges. Some parents might want to call the police, and you know what I'm saying? That's why it's so important to not do that, y'all. Like, it is so important to always be truthful about your age, because you never know like how that could go. So that could have went wrong. Boom, she said she wanted to meet him, so he got dropped off. Now I have no idea how and why she agreed to this, but Shawty ended up coming to the house to spend the night, under the impression that he was spending the night and also meet my mom for the first time. He comes in the house, I open up the door, he come in, and she meets him. She had no idea how short he was until she seen him. I don't think I pre-warned her about that, so later down the line, after this whole situation ended, she did end up telling me that like her first reaction was like, what the fuck, like he is so tiny. But anyway, she meets him, and we're in the living room, we're talking about the whole situation, me being pregnant. And again, me coming to think about it, Shawty, like, what you mean, like, you gotta come and meet a 19-year-old parent? I mean, well, okay, it could kind of make sense. I was getting ready to say that should have been a red flag to Shawty as well. Like, she said she's 19, but why am I coming to her house to meet her mama and talk about her being pregnant? But maybe, you know, people have parents like that, you know, so I can't really say that should have been a red flag, but I mean, it was a red flag. It really was. But anyways, we talking and we just discussing the whole pregnancy situation. And so I don't know how I thought this wasn't going to come up. I don't know why I thought it wasn't going to come up. My mom just ended up saying something at some point. She was like, yeah, you know, she's only 16 and da-da-da-da. And she's saying whatever else she's saying after that. All I heard was, yeah, you know, she's 16. And after she said that, I kind of like blacked out, because I was like, oh, fuck, the cover is blown, bitch. I think I found out about, ain't that some shit? I blanked out. I don't know what the fuck happened after that, but all I remember is once she said that, Shawty, he was like, wait, what? 16? I thought you was 19. So he's looking at me now at this point, and I'm looking at him. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything at all. So my mom goes, she was like, 19? You telling him you 19? Like, you 16 years old. Shawty, he's like, yeah, I'm 23, and you got me thinking you 19, but you really 16, and I'm a whole 23-year-old. So at that point, that's when mama realized that he wasn't 19. So I'm just saying, the age 19, I don't know, maybe, is that my magic number, bitch? Because I'm telling her he 19, I done told him I'm 19. Like, 19 was the number, bitch. Apparently 19 was the motherfucking number. Now she knows he's not 19, he's 23. And so eventually the conversation kind of like subsided. My mom somehow, I don't remember how, like I said, I blacked out after, like memory wise, I completely blacked out after he found out my age. At some point, my mom ended up going to her room, like going to bed. And like, I understand I'm pregnant already, ain't much I can do, but that don't mean have sleepovers with niggas. Like, girl, that was, I wouldn't, no ma'am. So my mom goes to bed, and so Shawty, he want to go smoke a cigarette. So we go out on my patio and we talking. And I'm just apologizing to him. I'm just like, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you the truth. And he's just kind of going off, well, not like too much, like he ain't yelling, but he obviously visibly upset. And he's just like, you got my people thinking you 19 and this and that. I'm with a whole 16-year-old, you know, I can go to jail for that and this and that. And I'm just like, yeah, you're right, because he was telling the truth. Like, if my mama wasn't My mom was just too cool. She was just too cool. And I'm not saying that she should have called the police, because again, I lied to him. So I don't think it's fair. And that's another thing that I regret saying in my last story time. I kind of called him a pedophile. Well, I did call him a pedophile after I talked about this part, because I was talking about the fact that after he accepted, like, we on the patio and he's accepting my apology. He's like, it's cool. It is what it is. Like, I accept your apology. He pretty much agreed to, like, in so many words, to still deal with me despite my age. And so at this point in my first story time, I was like, I told him I'm sorry, and he was like,
you know what, it's okay, just don't tell my people or whatever. If like my people, my friends ask you how old you are, just stick to the 19 story.
I'm like, okay, but now that I think about it, that's where the nigga became a pedophile. Because bitch, I don't give a fuck how many babies I got in my fucking stomach. You're 23, I'm 15. That's still illegal as fuck. That's still nasty as fuck. That's still sick. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't agree with what I said. 19-year-old me, that's crazy. I was 19. I told y'all it's something with the age 19. Bitch, I was 19 telling that motherfucking story. Still not thinking right. But yeah, like, I regret saying that, because he was not a pedophile. He did not know. He was blindsided. My mama can't be upset at him either. I mean, she can, but I lied, you know? So why try to ruin another black man's life because of a lie? So going back, moral of this story, don't lie about your age. Oh, there's women watching this right now who probably is currently lying about their age right now, or young ladies, not women. Hopefully you ain't no woman, grown ass woman, lying about your age. But younger girls, if I know I do have a small percent of the younger audience, don't do that. Like, that is not okay. He did decide to continue a relationship with me, and I mean, I can't blame him, because I mean, we got a fucking baby together. Would I have preferred for him to say, oh bitch, fuck you 16, I'll fuck you and that baby? No, I wouldn't have preferred him to say that at all. So for me, almost 10 years ago, to say that, oh, that was pedophile type of energy, was just insane for me to say. And I regret that. And well, I don't want to say I regret, because you live and you learn, but I don't agree with what I said back then. So time went on. I ended up having a baby shower in Louisiana. I'll post some pictures. It was just, I ain't know nobody at that baby shower, probably besides just a handful of people. It was most of my grandma church folks and shit, but they gave me a little small baby shower. It's real cute. So returning back to school, I felt super alone. All of my friends who were my friends in my junior and freshman year, like, they were there, but we weren't close. We weren't friends anymore type shit. Like, we didn't really talk. It was as if I was the new kid in school, and you know, the new kid in school that's not only new, but she pregnant too. It just, you know, it was weird. But that's when I started to, like, realize, like, okay, yeah, bitch, you know, you wanted to be pregnant and this and that. I thought, like, it would be a good idea to be pregnant, but like, look how this is affecting, like, look how this is affecting your friends. Like, you don't even have friends no more, bitch. Like, who the fuck want to be friends with you? Y'all ain't got shit in common. Like, it's nothing for y'all to talk about. For real. That was something that kind of, like, made me a little bit sad, but at the same time, I was just like, it is what it is. My school offered, like, this thing where they would basically have a teacher come to your house twice a week. It was called homebound. So, like, you were considered a homebound student, where, like, you still went to school. Well, you were still enrolled, but you just didn't go to school in person. You just went to school online. So after, like, I just felt like it was just, like, being in school was too much. Like, walking them long ass hallways, being, like, super pregnant. I just felt like it was too much. So they gave me the opportunity to do homebound, and that's what I did. And I felt like I wasn't missing out on anything anyway, because, like, nobody was fucking with me any fucking way. So it was what it was. So I had the opportunity to go home, or go to school from home, and I enjoyed it for the first few weeks. It got to the point where, like, whenever the lady would come, before the lady would come, I would make excuses like, oh, I'm tired, I don't feel good, I'm sick. I got lazy. Like, yeah, you pregnant, but you still got an education, sis. But the thing about it is, my mom allowed me. Like, my mama, she wasn't hard on me. Like, how I would be hard on mine, she wasn't hard on me. So eventually I literally dropped out of school. I dropped out of high school, y'all. I don't know if y'all knew, but I am a high school dropout. Well, you know, I'm in college now, so obviously I got my, you know, diploma, or GED rather. But I dropped out of high school. I literally dropped out of high school. My mama, she was okay with it. under the impression, so okay, I was telling him, I'm like, well, maybe I could just go to a fully online school. What difference did it make? I don't fucking know. But I found this other school, or I thought I found one, and I like signed up for it and everything. Come to find out, it wasn't even an accredited school. So I eventually stopped doing that, got my money back from that school, because I did have to pay. It was like a fee to enroll in that school or whatever. But whenever I found out that it wasn't accredited, I stopped. And so I was supposed to look for another homeschool, but back then there wasn't really many options for homeschool online like it is right now. There's so many different companies that offer online homeschool to kids or for kids, but back then, like in 2011, it wasn't that. So but my mom, she was not hard on me. Whenever she realized that I wasn't going back to school, I'm just pregnant, not going to school, not doing online school, not doing nothing, like she let me. I wish she would have been hard on me, because yeah, you pregnant, but you pregnant because of your own doings. That don't mean fuck your education, you know what I'm saying? So going back to me and Shadi's relationship, we still rock it. I don't even know if we would even consider us. I mean, I consider myself to be with him in a relationship, but I highly doubt that he was like claiming me to his homeboys and publicly whenever I'm not around. So I don't even really know what it was, but it was rocky as fuck. I guess we were together enough for him to invite me to Thanksgiving, so his people had a little Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, and I went over there. I'm pregnant at this point. I feel awkward as hell. He told me, he was like, look, we ain't gonna talk about your age or anything like that to my people. You 19 to them, and that's what it's gonna be. Like he told me that prior to going around them, after he found out my age. So I went along with it, you know. I mean, even though they didn't like specifically ask me again, like how old you is type shit, but in other words, he just wanted me to keep going with the flow and not, you know what I'm saying? So that was that. We ended up coming up on our 1-year anniversary, quote unquote. And so I guess you can say he kind of considered our relationship a relationship, because he ended up taking me out on dinner. So my mama allowed me to go out on dinner with him. We had went somewhere. I forgot where the fuck we went, bitch, but we went somewhere, child. This was December. I was due in January, so I'm like big ass pregnant. The last time we had sex was whenever he found out about my age. And so at this point, that was like almost like 4 months prior. It was our anniversary. We call ourselves having sex or whatever. So a few weeks later, I was over being pregnant. I'm just like, fuck, I'm 39 weeks and I'm still pregnant. Like, I thought my water would have been broken on its own by this time. Me being silly and 15 and, you know, ignorant, you don't always go into labor by your water breaking. So we lived in an apartment complex, me and my mom, and so I got on that goddamn treadmill, bitch, trying to get that baby out. I was on that treadmill for a good like 30 minutes straight, and after that, like, I felt so much pressure and pain down there that ended up bringing me to the hospital. So my mama brought me to labor and delivery, and long story short, they ended up checking my fluids. They did an ultrasound and my fluids was really low, so they ended up inducing me because of low fluids, not because I walked on the treadmill. Delivery day come, I let Shawty know. It was raining that day too, I remember. It was storming that day, but I was telling him I was in labor and kind of like walking him through it, and like, or not walking him, but talking to him throughout it, because he wasn't there. He was just like, let me know whenever you about to push or getting close to pushing. So it got closer too, and I'm like telling him that it's time. And I don't know what we was arguing about, but all I know is I was irritated and mad at him because he chose that day to argue with me. And I don't remember what it was about, but I do remember being irritated because he fucking was arguing with me while I'm motherfucking having a baby. Fast forward, I had the baby, delivered the baby, named her Nevaeh. He was there, you know, seeing her come out and everything, child. He was there, my mama was there. I had the baby, he left. I don't even think, he didn't even come and visit me again. I don't remember him coming visit me again until after I got out the hospital. You know, whenever you have a baby, you go to your 6-week postpartum appointment. So I go to that appointment. They, you know, check your cervix and or whatever they did for me. I don't know. I guess they checked my blood or something like that. Did blood work. I don't remember. But whatever it was, bitch, a couple days later, they called me. Talking about my OBGYN. It was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that you have chlamydia. I just wanted to let you know because we're going to be sending some medication to your pharmacy and this and that. So I was like, what the fuck? Because I wasn't fucking nobody except him. And mind y'all, you know, they do STD tests and all of that in the beginning of the pregnancy. So I was clean back then. but I didn't already had my baby and everything. You tell me I got chlamydia? How long have I had chlamydia? At first he was trying to deny it. Let me just say that. At first he was just like, I don't know how you would get something like that. And I like literally have to like stay on his ass. Like, I'm telling you, shawty, I have not fucked with nobody else but you since we've been talking to each other. I haven't been dealing with nobody. So you gotta be cheating on me. So girl, he ended up saying, okay, well, I'll admit I did get some head from somebody. You know damn well you ain't getting no motherfucking... No, I didn't do my research prior to saying what I'm about to say. But it is possible to get an STD by oral sex. I just don't know if chlamydia is one of those. Okay? But I find it hard to believe, even to this day, I find it hard to believe that all he did was get head from somebody. Because you can't tell me, especially after you found out my true age, I know he wasn't taking me serious. I can almost put money on that he wasn't taking me serious. And I can't blame him. I mean, granted, he should have just stopped fucking me, like, you know what I'm saying? He could have just been there for his child and that would have been that, and I wouldn't have got nothing. But you know, men don't do that. Men don't think. So he had his cake and was eating it too. At that point, we were already like damn near over with any fucking way. But that right there just like sealed it for me, because it's like, okay, nigga, you not only gave me an STD, but you gave me an STD before I even delivered this baby. Because like I told y'all, we hadn't had sex for months. So it's either I got chlamydia in the middle of my pregnancy, whenever I was like 5-6 months, and you know, he's found out about my age, and because I told you that was the last time we had sex before our anniversary, which would have been from what, August to December, because December was our quote-unquote anniversary. So either I had it then or I caught it during our anniversary. I don't know, but I'm not surprised, because again, we wasn't even seeing each other like that, especially whenever I went to Louisiana for a couple months. Like, me being older, like thinking about it, like that nigga was fucking over me. Like, that nigga was fucking some bitches, trust me. He was fucking bitches. He had no intent on taking me serious at all, especially after finding out my age, but he just didn't tell me that. I just kind of had to read between the lines. He slowly stopped talking to me. He didn't call. He didn't check up on my baby or our daughter. He didn't do anything like that. I wanted to go back to school after I had her. So I had intentions on going back to school physically, like high school, and putting my daughter in daycare. But they were just like, well, in order for you to get free daycare, you have to put the baby daddy on child support or whatever. And I didn't know anything about child support. I mean, I knew about child support, don't get me wrong, but I didn't really know like a lot of stuff that I know now. But I was like, okay, cool, you know, he not in my life or in her life anyway, so I went ahead on to sign to fill out the paperwork online and file child support for him, thinking that I was going to return to school. It didn't end up going to school any fucking way, so I basically filed child support for no reason. Well, I can't really say no reason if he wasn't doing anything, but only thing I will say he did, he bought me diapers. He bought like a small pack of diapers whenever she was like 10 months. And after that, I like literally, he fell off the face of the earth. Like, I didn't hear from him. His family members, of course, they didn't have a way to reach out to me anyway. But like, I didn't hear anything like at all. Okay, y'all, so I know it look a little different or whatever, different view, because my camera didn't die, or first it died twice, then it lost memory twice. I gotta get another SD card. But anyways, the video is over, well, for now, because I'm going to do part 2 with like an update. But yeah, as I was saying before the camera cut off, I was just saying that shawty, I didn't hear from him for a long ass time. It wasn't until maybe so this was in 2012 that I stopped hearing from him, and it wasn't until 2016 that he popped up. Come to find out, he had been in jail for those 4 years for armed robbery with a deadly weapon. So yeah, his small ass trying to rob somebody with a deadly weapon, absolutely. But it didn't stop there. It continued as far as how life was after, like, my child has gotten older and everything. That's a whole nother part. So I'm gonna come back with like an update about how life has been now that she is older. That being said, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you're new to my channel, do so. Subscribe, it's free. Also hit that like button and turn on your post notification. That way you can be informed when the next time your girl posts a video. I love y'all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see y'all in my next video. Bye.